When it comes to using your VA educational benefits, specifically your Montgomery GI Bill and your post 9/11 for flight training, there is a common misconception that you have to go to a institution of higher learning, so a degree granting school, in order to use your educational benefits for flight training. Well, I'm here to tell you, Billy, that that's not true. And we will take a look at the regulation that states exactly what I'm talking about here. So stay tuned.
Oh, what a stroke of luck.
Okay, if you're new to the channel, please like, comment, subscribe. Helps me out, helps the channel out, helps find other veterans that are maybe looking for information in this whole shitstorm we got going on here. Now, you may have heard that you have to go to a institution of higher learning or a school that grants a standard college degree in order to use your educational benefits, either your Montgomery GI Bill or your post 9/11. If you're looking into this for veterans readiness and employment, that's going to be a different category of stuff, and it has some different regulations to it. This is specifically for Chapter 30 and Chapter 33. If you haven't watched any of the other videos in this series, I recommend to go and check those out. Also, if you haven't seen any of the other videos in this series of using your VA educational benefits for flight training, I would recommend to go and check those out. But let's get into this, degree granting. Does it have to be a institution of higher learning, or can it just be a regular old, 141 non-degree granting program? For this specific regulation, we're going to go to 38 CFR 21.4263. This is going to be approval of flight training courses. If you've watched any of the other videos in this series, we have already looked over this specific regulation when it came to Part 61 and Part 141 programs. So right here off the top, a flight program may be approved if. We're going to skip over A because A actually doesn't apply. This is for chapters 32, 35. I'm not sure what 35 is, but 32 is your veterans readiness and employment, I'm pretty sure. But it doesn't apply to us. We're chapter 30 and 33. That's post 9/11 in Montgomery GI Bill. So we'll go down to Bravo here. So effective August 1st, 2011, the flight program is deemed approved. So a flight program will be deemed approved if it is approved by the Federal Aviation Administration and is offered by a certified pilot school that possesses a valid Federal Aviation Administration pilot school certificate or provisional pilot school certificate under 14 CFR Part 141. So nowhere in here yet does it say it has to be a part of an institution of higher learning or a standard college degree, but let's keep reading on. So flight programs offered at flight schools listed in paragraphs B2 and 3 of this section will not be approved for VA training under chapters 30 and 33. And just a tangent here first, that the paragraphs B2 and 3, you can read through those, but they don't really apply to our situation here. So let's move on. So and alpha here. The flight training offered by a flight school is generally accepted as necessary for the attainment of a recognized vocational objective in the field of aviation. Or the flight training is offered by an institution of higher learning for credit towards a standard college degree program. The important word in here is or. It has to be one of these two things. So either it has to be a part of an institution of higher learning and it's towards credit of a standard college degree, or the flight training that's offered by the flight school has to be generally accepted as necessary for the attainment of a recognized vocational objective in the field of aviation. And pretty much everything from your instrument to your commercial to your multi-engine, that's all going to be recognized as the attainment of a vocational objective, even CFI. So all of those ratings would be covered under alpha here of 1. So 1 alpha, those would all be covered. So as long as it is generally recognized as needed for a vocational objective, then it does not have to be a part of a institution of higher learning or part of a standard college degree program. However, what's very important to keep in mind here is if you do not have your private pilot license, you do need that before you start training. And I touched on this a lot more in the first video of this series where I discussed, do you need your private pilot license to start training? And the short answer is yes, you do, if you are not going to an institution of higher learning. So in this case, if you didn't want to go to an institution of higher learning to fulfill your ratings, then you could. You can do that, brother. However, you're going to have to get your private pilot license first. Now, if you are going the institution of higher learning route and that institution that you're going to is approved, it's a 141 school, and they have that private pilot course is approved, then you can take that private pilot course and VA benefits can pay for it. But on the flip side, like I just said, if you don't want to go to a college, you don't want to go to an institution of higher learning, then you're going to have to pay for your private pilot license out of pocket. And then after that, after you have your private pilot license, then your VA educational benefits, your Chapter 30 and your Chapter 33 will start picking up the ratings after your instrument, your commercial, and your CFI. However, keep in mind with that though, if you are going that route, that there is a cap. There's a yearly cap for the post 9/11. I'm not sure what it is for the GI Bill. I think for post 9/11 it's around 25,000 maybe. So most of the ratings you're going to go over that. You wouldn't be able to do all of the ratings in 1 year. So one of the big benefits of going to an institution of higher learning is most of them have a yellow ribbon program in which they will pick up the remainder of the funds that the GI Bill isn't going to cover in a year. So if you are thinking about doing the straight up 141 route without the degree program, something that you're going to have to think about is the GI Bill going to cover this all the way? Because most likely you're not going to have access to those yellow ribbon capabilities that are offered to you when you go to an institution of higher learning. So that's something to keep in mind. However, you can go. It is possible, 100% within the regulations. Just saying what the regulations state here. All right. So don't kill the messenger, guys. I'm just saying what the regulations are saying here. All right. But you don't, after you have your private pilot license, as long as it's a 141 school, you can go there and start working on your ratings, as long as it's generally accepted as a vocational necessity. You need it to start a vocational objective. So those are the two key things there, the two little bugaboos that you're going to need to know before you start getting into this flight adventure. So got to be a 141 school no matter what, but it does not have to be a degree granting program. Granted, there are those private pilot limitations. If you do want to learn more about that, go check out my other video in this series, and that'll read you up a little bit more on that. Stop skipping videos in the series, dude. Okay, but I hope this helped you out, and I hope it cleared up the shitstorm for you and made things a little brighter.